The evening air carried a slight chill as I stepped out of my car, adjusting the cuff of my blazer before heading toward the Ember. It was a place I had chosen carefully, a high-end restaurant nestled in the heart of the city, renowned for its elegant ambience, exquisite cuisine, and flawless service. Tonight was meant to be a celebration, an evening filled with warmth, love, and gratitude. My wife Sophia had arranged a dinner with her family, promising it would be special. As I stepped to the grand entrance, the rich aroma of gourmet dishes filled the air. Smooth jazz played softly through the speakers, and the lighting was dimmed to just the right level, exuding sophistication. Couples and families sat at neatly arranged tables, clinking glasses and conversing in hushed, pleasant tones. A familiar sense of joy filled my chest. Nothing compared to spending a memorable evening surrounded by loved ones. But then my gaze landed on the table at the far end of the room, and an unsettling feel washed over me. Sophia sat there with her family, her mother Lorraine, her father Gerald, and her younger brother Ryan. They were laughing, their wine glasses nearly empty, dessert plates still piled with chocolate and cream. They looked relaxed, fully enjoying themselves, yet I wasn't even at the table. I slowed my steps, confusion replacing my earlier excitement. A quick glance at my watch confirmed I was right on time. So why did it seem as if the meal had already taken place? For a moment, I wondered if they simply hadn't noticed me. But then Sophia's eyes lifted, her expression unreadable. A smirk curved at the edge of her lips as she leaned back in her chair, as if she had been waiting for me all along. "Oh, perfect timing," she said, waving casually like I was some distant acquaintance instead of her husband arriving at his own birthday dinner. Lorraine chuckled, sharing an amused glance with the others. I stepped closer, still trying to make sense of what I was witnessing. Why did it feel like I had just walked in on something I wasn't meant to see? The table was cluttered with empty plates, crumpled napkins, and half-drained wine glasses. I watched the servers clear the dishes, confirming my worst suspicion. They had already eaten. Did you all start without me?" I asked, doing my best to keep my voice even. Ryan, still chewing on a piece of cake, merely shrugged. "Yeah, we got hungry." I blinked. Hungry? I swallowed the sting rising in my throat, turned to Sophia, hoping for some kind of explanation. Instead, she reached across the table with effortless grace and slid something toward me. A small white slip, the check. Bewildered, I looked down at the bill, my eyes widening at the outrageous total. "This is your gift," Lorraine chimed in, laughing lightly as though this were some long-standing family tradition I had somehow never known about. Gerald nodded, a smirk tugging at his lips. "Come on, it's only fair. You're the man of the house, aren't you?" Ryan snorted, barely containing his amusement. "Think of it as a token of appreciation for your generosity." I felt my fingers tighten around the check, the crisp paper bending under my grip. They had eaten without me. They had celebrated without me. And as if that wasn't enough, they expected me to pay for it all. I took a slow, steady breath, my pulse hammering against my temples. This had to be a joke. No one would treat their own family this way. But the smug expressions staring back at me told me otherwise. Something inside me snapped. Without thinking, my fingers clenched around the check, tearing it clean in half. The sharp sound of ripping paper cut through the stunned silence. I let the shredded pieces flutter onto the table, my heartbeat pounding in my ears. Sophia's smirk faded. Gerald's eyebrows lifted in surprise. Lorraine scowled, clearly displeased. I pulled out my phone, my fingers moving swiftly over the screen as I made a call. The moment I ended it, I looked up and met Sophia's gaze. She leaned forward slightly, her amusement shifting into something else. Curiosity. "What did you just do?" she asked, her voice measured. I exhaled slowly, my tone eerily calm. "You'll find out soon enough." A tense silence settled over the table, the atmosphere shifting like storm clouds gathering. For the first time that evening, I saw something flicker in her eyes. Uncertainty. And then, as if the universe had been waiting for this moment, the restaurant manager, Mr. Quell, arrived at our table. He was a tall man with precise movements, his tailored suit crisp and immaculate. Flanking him were 2 security guards, their presence impossible to ignore. "Forgive me, sir," Mr. Quell began, his tone polite but firm. "It appears there's an issue with the payment." I nodded, gesturing toward my wife and her family. "No issue at all," I said smoothly. "My wife's family insisted on treating me tonight." Lorraine's mouth fell open slightly, her gaze darting between me and the manager. "Wait, what?" she blurted. I folded my arms. "Because that makes sense, doesn't it? You would invite someone to their own birthday dinner and expect them to pay, would you?" Gerald shifted uncomfortably. Sophia's expression hardened. The restaurant manager remained professional but unwavering. "If payment isn't provided, I'm afraid we'll have to take further action." The table fell into silence. Ryan, who had been so amused earlier, suddenly swallowed hard. Lorraine turned sharply to Sophia. "Fix this." Sophia's eyes narrowed as she glared at me, her smirk now completely gone. "You're really doing this?" I met her stare without hesitation. "You already did." The tension at the table was suffocating. Gerald sighed. "Just pay the damn bill." "No," Lorraine snapped, her frustration boiling over. "This is ridiculous. He's just being petty." The guards remained unmoved. I rose from my seat, buttoning my blazer with deliberate ease. "If they refuse to pay, feel free to involve the authorities." And with that, I turned to leave for once. I wasn't the one being humiliated for the first time in a long time. I wasn't the one left embarrassed stepping outside into the cool night air. I inhaled deeply, an unexpected sense of relief settling over me. Then my phone buzzed, pulling it from my pocket. I glanced at the screen, a message from Sophia. "Sophia, what the hell is wrong with you?" I let out a humorless chuckle and slid my phone back into my pocket without replying. Tonight I had finally sent a message of my own. I turned back to Sophia, my voice firmer than I intended. "No, we haven't," I said, "because every time I try to talk about something real you brush it off. Every time I bring up our marriage you roll your eyes like it's an inconvenience." Her expression hardened. "Maybe because you make everything such a big deal. You're always so sensitive." I let out a dry, bitter laugh. "Oh, I'm sorry. Is expecting respect too much for you? Is wanting my wife to actually care too demanding?" She placked her glass down with a sharp clink and crossed her arms. "You're being ridiculous." "No, Sophia, for once I'm not." Closer, my pulse quickening. "Tell me something. If I had done what you and your family did last night, if I had taken you out for your birthday, eaten without you, laughed in your face, and then handed you the bill, would you have been okay with that?" Silence. Her lips parted slightly, but no words came out. "Would you?" I pressed. She swallowed, shifting her weight. "That's not the same thing." I shook my head. "No, it's exactly the same thing. The only difference is that you and your family are so used to treating me like a joke you thought I'd just accept it, that I'd pay the bill and smile like a good little husband." Her eyes flashed. "You're twisting this into something it's not, am I?" I let out a bitter chuckle, because for once I was finally seeing things for what they truly were. Sophia picked up her wine glass again, swirling the deep red liquid inside. "So what do you expect me to do? Beg for forgiveness? Cry over it?" "No," I said, my voice steady but firm. "I just want the truth. Do you even love me?" Sophia, her fingers tightened around the street, the glass 1 second, 2 seconds, and then she laughed, but it wasn't a real laugh. There was no warmth, no amusement. It was sharp, cold, almost cruel. "Oh my God," she scoffed, shaking her head. "You're actually serious?" My jaw tensed. "Answer me." She exhaled heavily, setting the glass down with a dull thud. "Look, I care about you, all right, but love you're making this way too dramatic." The words hit harder than I expected. "So that's a no," I said quietly. She let out an exasperated sigh, clearly frustrated now. "I don't know what you want from me. We're married. Isn't that enough? Not if I'm the only one who gives a damn." She threw her hands up. "So what now? You want a divorce, is that it?" I studied her carefully, the way she said divorce, like it was nothing more than a bluff, an empty threat I never dare to follow through on. And maybe a year ago, even 6 months ago, she would have been right, but not anymore. I took a slow breath, my shoulders loosening for the first time in what felt like forever, because for once I knew exactly what I had to do. "Yes, Sophia," I said, my voice unwavering. "I think I do." For the briefest second her smirk wavered. "What are you saying?" she asked, her tone quieter now. "I'm saying I'm done." The words left my lips, and just like that a weight lifted from my chest. Sophia blinked, as if she hadn't heard me correctly. "You're not serious?" "I am," I said. Simply, for the first time, I actually am. Her eyes narrowed. "You're just trying to scare me." I shook my head. "No, Sophia, I'm just finally seeing things clearly." A heavy silence stretched between us, thick and suffocating. Then she let out a bitter scoff. "Fine, if you want to throw away our marriage over one stupid dinner, be my guest." I gave a small, almost sad smile. "It was never just one dinner, and you know it." She stared at me for a long time, searching my face for any sign of hesitation, but there wasn't any. For the first time in a long time I was searched, and I Didn't want this marriage anymore. I turned and walked away, heading upstairs. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. When I closed the bedroom door behind me, something unexpected settled over me. It wasn't quite relief, not yet. But it was close, like standing at the edge of a cliff and realizing you weren't afraid to jump anymore. I sat down on the edge of the bed, staring at the floor, my thoughts racing. I'm done. The words I had just spoken. Bren downstairs felt final, honest, more real than I had expected. But what did done actually mean? Was I really ready to walk away from everything? Sophia and I had been married for 5 years. I had fought for this relationship, ignored warning signs, made excuses. I had convinced myself that love meant enduring, that if I just held on a little longer, if I just tried harder, things would eventually get better, but they never did. And now here I was finally admitting what I had known deep down for a long time. This marriage was over.